Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we are stripping the paint off this idea of the tech consumer.
Hmm.
We have this really bad habit in the industry of treating technology as just one single vertical. We sort of assume the person buying a 4K OLED TV is the same as the person buying a smart fridge.
Which is just the quickest way to burn through a media budget. I mean,
Yeah.
if you treat everyone with a Wi-Fi connection as a techie,
Yeah.
you are going to lose so much money.
Right. So today we're going to fix that. We're digging into the behavioral side of things. This is actually part 2 of our series on data segmentation.
It is.
Last time we used PRIZM Premier to look at the retail landscape. That was all about, where people physically go.
It was the location is destiny argument. PRIZM tells you about lifestyle, urban, suburban, family structure, and that dictates, whether you shop at a boutique or a big box store.
But today we are flipping the lens. We're not asking where anymore. We're asking how. How do households actually adopt all this stuff? And to do that, we're using different data set. Connections Premier.
That's Claritas Connections. It looks at tech ownership, digital engagement, bandwidth usage. It basically answers the question, how integrated is this household into the digital ecosystem?
So let's talk about the core framework here first, because the source material highlights this strategic shift that I think a lot of marketers miss. We have to stop looking at buying as a single event.
A single moment in time.
Yeah. The data breaks it down into 3 distinct signals: planning, purchasing, and ownership. Now, my first thought is, okay, why? Isn't it just a straight line? Intent leads to purchase. Why separate them?
You'd think so, but in tech, that line gets really squiggly really fast. Those signals often come from totally different people or different channels. Let's take planning.
The research phase.
Exactly. Reading reviews, watching unboxing videos, comparing specs. That signals in-market intent.
But the person doing the research isn't always the one who, swipes the credit card.
That's the big disconnect. The connections data shows a massive split here.
Mm-hmm.
You might have a household where, say, the teenager's the planner, doing weeks of research on a gaming rig, figuring out the graphics card, the RAM.
But the parent is the purchaser.
Right. So if you're a marketer and you only look at transaction data, you're targeting the parent. But the parent doesn't care about the specs. The teenager does. You're sending the wrong message to the wrong person.
And then there's that third piece, ownership. This feels like the most undervalued metric. Once they've bought it, the deal's done right. Why do we care who already has one?
Because in tech, the first purchase is just the hook. It is so rarely a one-and-done deal. If I know you own a smart speaker, I'm not trying to sell you a starter kit anymore.
You're treating me as a retention play.
I'm selling you the smart lights that connect to it. I'm selling you the thermostat. Ownership is the strongest predictor of future compatibility. It tells you if a household is ready for an upgrade or if they're completely cold.
So we have planning, which is the intent, purchasing, the transaction, and ownership, the ecosystem. When you apply that lens, the myth of the average tech consumer just completely falls apart.
It really does. The adoption curves are wildly different depending on the device.
Let's prove that. The report breaks this down by category, and there are some real surprises. Let's start with the one everyone has, smartphones.
Right. Saturation point. Knowing someone has a phone just means they have a pulse. It's not a differentiator anymore.
So where's the signal then?
The real nugget in the connections data isn't the phone itself. It's the accessory. It's the smartwatch.
Ah, because it's a signal category.
Spot on. It's a proxy for how engaged you are. If you own a smartwatch, you've done 2 things. 1, you've signaled you have discretionary income. Nobody needs a smartwatch.
True.
But 2, and this is more important, you've locked yourself into an operating system.
Oh, absolutely. I have an Apple Watch. The idea of switching to an Android phone makes me anxious because I'd lose all that functionality. I'm trapped.
You are invested. You're syncing health data, your wallet, your notifications. So for a marketer, a smartwatch owner is a high-value target. They are way more likely to buy the pro version of the next phone, not the budget one.
And they're the perfect audience for premium subscriptions, too. Fitness, Plus One, iCloud storage, you name it.
Exactly. You see the watch, you upsell, you only see the phone, you're still fighting for loyalty. The watch tells you that war is already won.
Okay, so moving from the wrist to the living room. Smart TVs and smart speakers. Again, smart TVs feel ubiquitous. You almost can't buy a dumb TV anymore.
You really can't. Smart TV ownership is broad. It crosses every demographic. It's a commodity. But smart speakers, your Echo, your Nest Audio, That's where the line gets drawn in the sand.
The data says they concentrate in digitally engaged households.
Yeah.
Is that just a fancy way of saying they like gadgets?
It's more than that. It's behavioral.
Yeah.
Think about how you use a TV. It's passive. You sit back, you put on Netflix, you veg out. It's consumption. A smart speaker is active. You're using voice commands, managing a playlist, checking the weather, setting a timer for dinner.
It implies a household that is comfortable interacting with technology, not just staring at it.
That's the key. It signals a higher level of digital literacy, which makes the smart speaker the gateway drug for the smart home.
Ah, there it is.
If I'm marketing smart thermostats or connected doorbells, I am not targeting smart TV owners. That net is way too wide. I'm targeting smart speaker owners. They're already talking to their house.
Let's talk about that smart home category then. This feels like the most fragmented space. It's just a wall of different brands at the store.
It is the Wild West. But the key insight from Connections is that these are ecosystem buyers.
Meaning they don't mix and match.
Rarely. The friction of having 3 different apps to control your lights, your door, and your heat is just too high. People buy into a system. If they have a Google doorbell, they are exponentially more likely to buy the Google camera.
So trust is the real currency here. You're not just buying a gadget. You're letting a company see your front porch.
Trust and compatibility. So as a marketer, I'm not selling a camera in a vacuum. I'm selling a camera that works with the screen you already have in your kitchen. You use the ownership signal of the first device to trigger the planning signal for the second.
That's smart. Okay, here's a segment that I think gets stereotyped the most. Gaming.
Ah, the teenager in the basement.
Right, the slacker stereotype. But the data paints a drastically different picture of the gaming household.
It's a much more lucrative picture. Yes, they buy consoles.
Yeah.
But Connections identifies these households as heavy bandwidth consumers. They are the super users of the digital world.
So they're streaming 4K, they're downloading huge files, they have the best internet connection.
And crucially, they are comfortable with digital microtransactions. They cross that psychological barrier of paying for pixels a long, long time ago.
Which is a huge hurdle for a lot of people, putting your credit card in for something you can't touch.
Gamers did that a decade ago. It makes them the perfect audience for other digital services, VPNs, cloud storage, premium streaming bundles. If you're selling a digital-only product, gamers are your early adopters.
Every time. So the console is just the Trojan horse for the subscriptions.
Exactly. The gaming signal tells you this household has a high monthly spend on digital goods. It's a recurring revenue goldmine.
Okay, let's touch on a category that feels almost retro but is actually huge. Computers and antivirus software.
It's a fascinating split. Computer ownership usually tracks with work or school. It's about productivity. But antivirus, that tracks with anxiety.
The security conscious segment.
Right. But Connections splits this group into 2 very different mindsets. You have the maximum protection crowd. These are the people who want to configure the firewall. They will control.
Software users.
And then you have the peace of mind crowd. They don't know what a firewall is, and they do not want to know. They just want to feel safe. They want a set it and forget it solution.
So if you run a generic stay safe ad, you fail with both of them.
100%. The technical specs ad goes to the maximum protection group. The easy one-click install ad goes to the peace of mind group. It's the same product, but a totally different value proposition.
That is the nuance most campaigns miss. Okay, last category, fitness trackers and e-readers. This feels like the most niche group.
It is, and that's why it's so valuable. These are lifestyle-driven. Nobody needs a Kindle to do their job or a Fitbit to survive.
So this is purely discretionary. This is, I have extra money and I want to improve myself.
Which means broad marketing is a complete waste of money. You can't buy a Super Bowl ad for e-readers and expect any kind of return. You need precision.
You just have to find the bookworms.
You just find the bookworms. Connections lets you find households that index high for those behaviors and ignore the other 90% of the population who just aren't interested.
So we've looked at the hardware, the behaviors. We see the tech consumer is actually 6 or 7 different animals. But how do you apply this at scale? I can't manually sort millions of households into these buckets.
Right, and that's where the activation engine comes in. This is the AI layer on top of the Connections data.
And let's avoid the buzzwords. What does the AI actually do here?
It does propensity modeling. It looks at your best customers, say the people who just bought that premium smartwatch, and it analyzes thousands of their data points.
It builds the fingerprint of a buyer.
Exactly. And then it scans the rest of the population to find lookalikes, people who have that same fingerprint but haven't bought the watch yet.
So it's a hit list of people who are statistically probable to buy.
And it optimizes your ad spend in real time. If the AI sees that the peace of mind security segment is converting better on social media, but the techie segment converts better on display ads, it just shifts the budget automatically.
Which solves the wasted spend problem. You aren't paying to show a gaming laptop to a grandmother who only uses an iPad for email.
Unless, of course, that grandmother has a history of buying high-end tech gifts for her grandkids, which the data would also show.
Touché. The grandmother gamer might just be real.
And that's the whole point. You don't have to guess. You let the data define the audience for you.
Okay, so bringing this deep dive to a close, let's synthesize this for everyone listening. If we look at Connections Premier, what are the, say, 4 specific things it really delivers?
All right, the value prop. First, it gets you beyond demographics. You stop targeting males 25-34 and start targeting high-bandwidth gamers. It's behavior over biology.
The how, not the who.
Second, it identifies that planning signal.
Yeah.
You can catch people while they're still researching, before they've decided. That's your window of influence.
Before they've made up their mind. Right.
Third, it leverages the ownership signal. You maximize lifetime value by targeting upgrades and cross-sells to your installed base. You stop treating loyal customers like strangers.
And the last one.
Finally, when you pair it with that AI engine, it just forces efficiency. You're personalizing the message at scale, which reduces wasted spend because you aren't just shouting into the void.
It really reinforces that idea we started with. The tech market doesn't exist. It's 1,000 little micro markets all moving at different speeds.
That is the reality. And the brands that win aren't going to be the ones with the flashiest hardware. They'll be the ones using data to predict the next purchase, instead of just recording the last one.
Predicting the next purchase, that's the edge. We will leave it there. Thanks for listening to The Deep Dive. Go check your data, stop treating your customers like a monolith, and we will catch you on the next one. Stay curious, everyone.